y'all. We got a TED talk. Let's see. Meeting the enemy. A feminist comes to terms with men's rights. Okay, let's see what we got.
In 2013, I decided to meet my enemies. I was a 27-year-old award-winning documentary filmmaker and a proud feminist. And I was determined to expose the dark underbelly of the men's rights movement. At that point, all I knew of the men's rights movement was from what I read online, that it's a misogynistic hate group actively working against.
Man, and that's crazy because that's where all of these girls are learning this from. Like they spend, people spending so much time on their phones that they don't have any true perception of reality. Then we just went through this whole quarantine shit, basically 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Of people, people still haven't snapped out of it. So the whole really year and a half that people were sitting in their house on their phones and shit, this movement became that much more drastic. So these girls was in the house soaking up all this information because you cannot get out and mingle with people. So in the mix or in the midst of learning these doctrines that they putting out right now, you can't even get out there in the middle of the lesson to test if it's true. You dig what I'm saying? Like if there's 12 chapters, so in between chapter 1 and 2, or you read 3 chapters, and before you get to chapter 4, you experience like, damn, one chapters 1 through 3, what they was saying don't even really relate to the real world. You see what I'm saying? So these girls are just learning this stuff off the internet and acting like it's real, and it's not real.
Against women's equality. While the vast majority of my previous work was about women's issues, I directed documentaries about reproductive rights, single motherhood,
Oh wait,
women's equality.
hold up, listen at that.
At that point, all I knew of the men's rights movement was from what I read online, that it's a misogynistic hate group actively working against women's equality. While the vast majority of my previous work was about women's issues, I directed documentaries about reproductive rights, single motherhood, and the need for more girls to get into STEM education. So when I learned that no one had ever documented the men's rights movement in a film before, I saw it as an opportunity to continue fighting for women's equality by exposing those preventing it. So for 1 year, I traveled North America, meeting the leaders and followers of the men's rights movement. I spent anywhere from 2 hours up to 8 hours interviewing each individual men's rights activist, also known as MRA. And I filmed 44 people total. And there's an important rule in documentary filmmaking. As an interviewer, you do not interrupt. So I'm asking questions and I'm getting their full life story. And in the moment, I didn't realize it. But now looking back, I can see that while I was conducting my interviews, I wasn't actually listening. I was hearing them speak, and
And this is a common thing, gentlemen. You're dealing with these girls, and y'all gotta be careful, man. Cause me, I come right out the gate. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times, I don't know what it is. I'm just a regular guy, but like they be pulling up on me. Like they approach me and they be, you know what I'm saying? But another thing that is always told to me is I always give the girls some sort of sense of security, like a high sense of security. They say I'm too masculine. I'm very masculine, So that becomes a draw in the world that we live in today. Whenever they all toxic masculinity and shit, right? But the reason why I say that is because I come out the gate letting them know what it is. You know what I'm saying? As a man, what it is that I want and what it is that I like. Sometimes it might be a little too much for them, and they still want to see how far they can get with it. But I come out the gate with it.
see that while I was conducting my interviews, I wasn't actually listening.
And that's what I was getting at, y'all. Listening. They don't want to listen. It's crazy. The same with these here femi right activists and the women keeping women single. The same girl who's, I ain't even gonna over topic.
I was hearing them speak, and I knew the cameras were recording. But in those moments of sitting across from my enemy, I wasn't listening. What was I doing? I was anticipating.
Right. That's why I ain't want to cut it out, but that's what they be doing. They don't listen, and you can look at these girls' faces whenever you talk to them. You can see the expressions on their face, and really what's happening is they hearing the words that you're using. You know what I'm saying? And that's a problem. Is that sometimes communication barrier. You know what I'm saying? So I don't allow the word to dictate what it is. You got to pay attention to the full line of communication. So you can look at these girls' faces and realizing how much in agreement, or rather in disagreement, that they are with the words that you're using. And they just hear the words, and you can see them gearing up, you know what I'm saying, to lash out at you, basically, or they're just not listening. They're formulating their own. That's what they're doing. That's what I'm saying. Is they formulate while you sitting here being 100% truthful with them because of your choice of words. They're formulating more verbiage of destruction.
I was waiting to hear a sentence, or even just a couple of words in succession that proved what I wanted to believe. That I have found the misogynist, the ground zero of the war on women. A couple of times I thought I had it. There was one men's rights activist that said to me, just walk outside and look around. Everything you see was built by a man. Ooh, his statement felt anti-women. I felt my jaw clench, but I sat quietly, as a documentarian should, while removing all the space between my upper and lower molars. After my year of filming, I was reviewing the 100 hours of footage I had gathered, replaying and transcribing it, which, believe me when I say, no one will ever listen to you more than someone who transcribes your words. You should write that down. So I was typing out every word meticulously, and through that process, I began to realize that my initial knee-jerk reactions to certain statements weren't really warranted, and my feeling offended didn't hold up to intense scrutiny. Was that statement about men having built the skyscrapers and the bridges anti-women? I thought, well, what would be the gender reverse scenario? Maybe a feminist saying, just look around. Everyone you see was birthed by a woman. Wow.
And men have never argued that, have never attacked women behind that, have never went to make that a valid point. Or, you see what I'm saying? Well, we want to birth people too, or let's make it equal. Like, what the fuck? We understand what it is.
Powerful statement. And it's true. Is it anti-male? I don't think so. I think it's acknowledging our unique and valued contributions to our society. Well, luckily, while I was making the Red Pill movie, I kept a video diary, which ended up tracking my evolving views. And in looking back on the 37 diaries I recorded that year, there was a common theme. I would often hear an innocent and valid point that a men's rights activist would make, but in my head, I would add on to their statement a sexist or anti-woman spin, assuming that's what they wanted to say but didn't. So here are two.
But this is what women do anyways. But I guess that became more of a cultural attribute, you know, dealing with these toxic feminism women, or whatever you want to call them. But, or really the ratchet girls, you dig what I'm saying? The hip-hop culture girls, you know what I'm saying? That to be combative is the point that is what she's explaining is we could be, as a man, we could be genuinely expressing ourselves, and the number one thing they doing is formulating some shit in their head to be combative. You know what I'm saying?
But in my head, I would add on to their statement a sexist or anti-woman spin, assuming that's what they wanted to say but didn't. So here are two examples of how that would go. A men's rights activist in MRA would say to me, there are over 2,000 domestic violence shelters for women in the United States, but only one for men. Yet multiple reputable studies show that men are just as likely to be abused. I would hear them say, we don't need 2,000 shelters for women. They're all lying about being abused. It's all a scam. But in looking back on all the footage I'd gathered of men's rights activists talking about shelters, and all the blogs they've written and the video live streams they posted on YouTube, they're not trying to defund women's shelters, not at all. All they're saying is that men can be abused too, and they deserve care and compassion. Second example, a men's rights activist would say to me, where is justice for the man who was falsely accused of raping a woman?
Right, right.
And because of this accusation, he loses his college scholarship and is branded with the inescapable title of rapist.
Right.
I would hear them say, a woman being raped isn't a big deal. It's as if I didn't hear the word falsely accused of rape. All I heard was he was accused of rape. Of course, rape is a big deal, and all the men's rights activists I met agreed it is a horrible thing to have happened to anyone.
Very true.
I eventually realized what they're saying is they're trying to add to the gender equality discussion who is standing up for the good-hearted, honorable man that loses his scholarship, his job, or worse yet, his children, because he's accused of something he absolutely did not do. Well, I couldn't keep denying the points they were making. There are real issues. But in my effort to avoid agreeing with my enemy completely, I changed from putting words in their mouth to acknowledging the issue, but insisting they are women's issues. So here are two examples of how that would go. A men's rights activist would say to me, men are far more likely to lose their child in a custody battle.
Very true.
And I would counter, well, because women are unfairly expected to be the caretaker, it's discrimination against women that women get custody more often. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I'm not proud of that.
That shit sound crazy.
Second example, an MRA would say to me,
But just let me say that it's crazy regardless of what extremity of the feminism thing that you fall into, the whole single mother thing in itself, let me just touch on it real quick. So what she was just saying was that you know, with the divorce and the mother is more likely to end up with the kids than the man. That's always what it is. The women always end up with the children. Whether you're married, women do the whole nourishing, the whole they soft. You dig what I'm saying? Men, we tend to get out there, go get the bacon and bring it home. Like, so man, my sister, she works in the medical field. A lady that she works with, she just had twins. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not a rocket scientist, but this is the truth, that women are supposed to be pregnant for around 36 weeks, especially with twins, 36 weeks. This woman had her babies at 20 weeks, but she works a full time. She wants to be a man. You see what I'm saying? That stress adds up, and this is what we get. So women take it as men deterring them or no, y'all women are ignoring your biological reality.
men are roughly 78% of all suicides throughout the world. And I would counter with, but women attempt suicide more often. So
Nobody should be committing
it's not a
suicide,
contest,
period.
but I kept making it into one.
I'm glad that she said that because that's what feminism does. It makes it to where women, they truthfully think that they can compete. And in the areas that women truly can compete with the man on, it's like it's it don't hold no weight. Like, why would you want to compete for suicides?
Why couldn't I simply learn about men's issues and have compassion for male victims without jumping at the opportunity to insist that women are the real victims?
Which is a masculine trait. I mean, it's also toxic, but to be as less compassionate, you know what I'm saying? Like women tend to. I'm not gonna say that women tend to have more compassion, but damn, I stumped myself with that one because no, as a man, just because you're a man, you are not less compassionate. Now you could be like you could be more emotionless as a man. You know, we don't really do the whole coddling and all of that mushy stuff as well as women do.
Well, after years of researching and fact-checking what the men's rights activists were telling me, there is no denying that there are many human rights issues that uniquely or disproportionately affect men. Paternity fraud uniquely affects men. The United States Selective Service, in the case of a draft, still uniquely affects men. Workplace deaths, disproportionately men. War deaths, overwhelmingly men. Suicide, overwhelmingly men. Sentencing disparity, life expectancy, child custody, child support, false rape allegations, criminal court bias, misandry, failure to launch, boys falling behind in education, homelessness, veterans issues, infant male genital mutilation, lack of parental choice once a child is conceived, lack of resources for male victims of domestic violence. So many issues.
Right. And women get all the benefits for just being women at this point, you know? Not to say that it's a contest or I'm arguing it, but we really just left hanging is what it is. It's, I don't feel sorry. I'm not, don't take it like I'm complaining to get something, but for those that do need help, you know what I'm saying? For those that do need some assistance, that's just what I'm doing right now. But I don't necessarily need nobody to come and make me, you know what I'm saying? Like there are, man, and it really do something to me. I'm down here in Texas, and all the homeless people that I see holding up signs for money or whatever, or I work for food. It's older men that look like they was in the military. I've never seen a military woman or a woman that looked like she was in the military out there holding no sign. Not saying that it does not exist, but I don't. That's not something I normally see.
That are heartbreaking. If you are the victim, or you love someone who is the victim of any one of these issues. These are men's issues, and most people can't name one. Because they think, well, men have all the rights, they have all the power and privilege. But these issues deserve to be acknowledged. They deserve care, attention, and motivation for solutions. Before making the Red Pill movie, I was a feminist of about 10 years. And I thought I was well-versed on gender equality issues. But it wasn't until I met men's rights activists that I finally started to consider the other side of the gender equality equation. It doesn't mean I agreed with all that they said. But I saw...
But that's the thing about being human, and that was the world that men built, that you could have an opinion and be respected. And this whole, when everybody feminine today, you cannot have an opinion and be respected for having that opinion. No, you get canceled for having that. That shit is gay. Like, not gay as in if you're a homosexual that you need to get offended because I said that that's gay. No, gay is just a term for lame. Okay, that shit is gay, bruh.
Saw the immense value in listening to them and trying to see the world through their eyes. I thought if I could get my audience to also listen to them, it could serve as a rung on the ladder, bringing us all up to a higher consciousness about gender equality. So in October 2016, The film was released in theaters, and articles and critic reviews started to roll in. And that's when I experienced how engaged the media is in groupthink around gender politics. And I learned a difficult lesson. When you start to humanize your enemy, you in turn may be dehumanized by your community. And that's what happened to me.
All right, so I'm gonna leave it at this. I mean, what y'all really want me to say? She really didn't already said it. Women just need to do better. We got women keeping women single, women holding women back, and if you look at the women that's really doing it, it's like the ones that's like I said, it's really they too young to have experienced anything, or they too old and they realize that they didn't missed out. Now that's not exclusive. You got some in between that's in there that's whatever, right? That's lost in the sauce. But the media is really the biggest culprit in this. Really the biggest culprit. So, I think that, people just need to tighten up, get on it, it'll balance out.